So it looks like the Los Angeles Chargers have a decision on their hands. What to do with the contract status of Melvin Gordon, your former first-round pick in 2015, is entering his contract year, and dude wants to get paid. Wants to get paid like he feels like a two-time Pro Bowler should. And look, I am not here to disrespect Melvin Gordon in his pursuit of more money. Get y'all's while you can. Because you sure as hell know the owners are going to. Get every dollar you can, especially as a running back with a limited shelf life in the league. Especially for a guy like Melvin Gordon with the impact he could potentially have, in theory, on that Chargers team. Especially when you have a Chargers team that could be convincing themselves they might be able to make a run at the Super Bowl this year. Why not try to strike and strike now? Get that money while you can before you risk playing another season and having a big-time injury happen or something. I get it. And the Chargers are going to have to make this decision. Do you pay Melvin Gordon now? Or do you make him prove it once again? Do you run the risk of him not being there to start camp or even start the regular season with the club? When you're looking at Phillip Rivers at the tail end of his career, entering, year 16 now? What do you do? I mean, do you sign the guy or do you call his bluff? And as much as I'm for the players going after theirs and getting their money, there's an element of reality here, is that I feel like the majority of the leverage all rests with the Los Angeles Chargers. I do not knock Melvin Gordon for trying to get more money, trying to get a new deal. He may very well end up getting one before the regular season starts. But I wouldn't knock the Chargers for calling his bluff either. Because when you look at Melvin Gordon, their former first-round pick in 2015, he's been in the league 4 years now. He has, in those 4 years, one 1,000-yard season. That was 2017. One season where he actually averaged 4 yards or more per carry, and that was this past season with 5.1. Other seasons is 3.5, 3.7, 3.9. He's had exactly one season out of 4 that he's played in all 16 games, and that was 2017, also the 1,000-yard season. Not exactly numbers on the surface that you look at and scream out, pay me big-time FU running back money. Especially when you're looking at Melvin Gordon last year. When you look at it from a fantasy standpoint, this is a guy that got some receptions and he scored a bunch of touchdowns. But he had exactly 300-yard rushing games against San Francisco, Cleveland, and Seattle. And those 3 rushing defenses were not exactly setting the world on fire last year. And those were exactly the 3 games that he had 100 yards rushing in. 3 of them. That's it. And when you also factor in that the Chargers were 4-0 without Melvin Gordon in 2018. You could argue in some ways the offense might have been a little better without him, as crazy as that might sound. And in the 2 playoff games, he had a combined 63 total rushing yards. Surely not entirely his fault, but the bottom line is the dude didn't produce big when his team needed him to produce the most. And they went 4-0 without him. So you're talking about a guy here who has some injury history, more than some, quite a bit. Missed a few games each year except 2017 when he played them all. You're talking about a guy that you went 4-0 without in 2018 who didn't really do much in the playoffs. You got to look at that and you got to say, how much are you really willing to pay for that? How much better would he be than somebody that you maybe would draft in the first or second round in next year's NFL draft? I think it's a fair question. And also looking at this from a leverage standpoint, which leverage is so critical, leverage means so much. The Chargers have all the leverage here because this is not like Le'Veon Bell where he refused to sign his franchise tender. When he didn't agree to sign under the tag, he technically was able to go back into free agency again as a free agent. If Melvin Gordon sits out the entire season because he is currently under contract, he will not have that same luxury. He will not gain that year of service. He will not be able to enter free agency. You can sit there and ride out the string, but by the 10th game or so, Melvin Gordon's got to come back, or it doesn't count for his year of free agency, and you'll be right back in the same situation again next year. That's not to say that Melvin Gordon doesn't have value or can't do positive things for this Chargers team. But just you look at it objectively and you say, you go 4-0 without him. He didn't do much in the playoffs. You got a pretty good team around Phillip Rivers, both offensively and defensively. How badly do you really, truly need Melvin Gordon? It might get ugly, and it might generate some ill feelings and ill will, and you might not want to have that on your team for a guy like Melvin Gordon to be holding out and not be there to start the regular season, especially if you're a Chargers team and you feel like you're in a position where you could contend and potentially make it to the Super Bowl. You've got a balanced and kind of complete roster. You feel like you can have a good chance to make a run. You want to have all your horses there if you can. But I would be really, really, really cautious from a long-term standpoint, paying Melvin Gordon a crap ton of money when the fact of the matter remains that he's a bit of an injury risk. His production has been okay, but not superstar spectacular. And even if you say, well, he's a two-time Pro Bowler, shit, fucking wasn't Trubisky a Pro Bowler this last year? And based off of pure stats and numbers, he most certainly was not. All these guys can fucking be Pro Bowlers now. Give me a break. That's not a good enough reason, not a good enough argument, not a good enough excuse. There are far too many games where Melvin Gordon made little impact, and in the games that he didn't play, the Chargers were just damn fine. It might not be the easiest thing to do. It might not be best from an optics standpoint, but the Chargers should hold their ground here and call Melvin Gordon's bluff, because there is no reason at this point into rushing to pay him way too damn much over way too damn many for probably way too little production to justify it.